Have you ever really stopped to wonder what makes a great hotel truly exceptional? It's more than just the plush robes or the perfect welcome. See, behind the scenes, there's a kind of blueprint, a hidden architecture that makes sure everything runs like clockwork. And today, well, we're going to take a look at that blueprint. Hello, everyone. As a hotel AI expert, I've had the chance to process and learn from an incredible amount of data from the world's most successful hotel operations. And I'm really pleased to be here to welcome all of you, the students of Europe Hotel School, to this part of your online learning journey. My goal is to share what I've learned to help you become the future leaders of this amazing industry. So, our game plan for the next few minutes is pretty straightforward. First, we're going to tackle the why. Why are these frameworks so absolutely critical in hospitality? Then we'll break down the what. What are the actual moving parts? And finally, we'll get into the how. How you can take these ideas and really apply them to make a difference. All right, so let's start with that big question. Why? Why bother with a big, formal framework at all? Well, to get that, you first have to understand what happens when you don't have one. And that's a world filled with good intentions, for sure, but also a lot of disconnected, fragmented actions. This slide really lays it out, the problem versus the solution. Over on the left, you've got all those individual tasks, approvals, checks, reconciliations, all important things, right? But by themselves, they're just siloed actions, like scattered puzzle pieces. Now, look to the right. That's the goal. An integrated system where leadership, people, and culture all work together. It's about moving from just doing tasks to building a cohesive, powerful system. See, without a framework, you're basically flying blind. You're leaving huge, crucial gaps in your operations. Gaps that can lead to anything from financial trouble to a damaged reputation. A framework isn't about creating more rules. It's about building a safety net that protects the entire organization. Okay, so now that we're clear on the why, let's get into the details. It's time to deconstruct the what. Let's take a look at the actual anatomy of one of these frameworks. So what are we really talking about here? I want you to think of it like the architectural blueprint for your hotel. It's the design that shows how every single component, from the front desk to housekeeping to finance, connects and works together to achieve your biggest goals. It's basically your hotel's operational DNA. And that blueprint, that DNA, it's made up of 5 core components that build on each other. It all begins with your control environment. That's the foundation, the tone set from the top. Then comes risk assessment, where you identify your vulnerabilities. From there, you develop your control activities, the specific actions you'll take. Of course, none of that works without clear information and communication. And finally, you wrap it all in continuous monitoring to make sure it's all working. Having a great blueprint is one thing, but actually building the thing is something else entirely. So this brings us to the most critical part, the how. How do we bring this framework to life in the real, messy, fast-paced world of hospitality? And here's the absolute most important thing you need to grasp. A framework is not a rigid rule book. It's not a straitjacket. It's a compass. It gives you direction. It tells you which way is north. But it's up to you, the leader, to navigate the unique landscape of your specific hotel. For instance, let's picture a massive global luxury hotel chain. For them, the framework might look very formal, with extensive documentation, complex software, and maybe even dedicated internal audit teams. But now contrast that with, say, a charming independent boutique hotel. Do they need all that? No way. They can achieve the very same level of control, but with much simpler procedures and the direct, hands-on oversight of the owner or manager. Both approaches are right because they're adapted to reality.
And this is where it gets really powerful. A framework helps everyone understand the why behind their job. Instead of just telling a new team member to follow a checklist, you can explain how their role directly impacts the guest experience and the hotel's success. It connects their daily tasks to the bigger picture. And that changes everything.
But look, getting the system up and running, that's really just step one. To be truly effective for the long haul, a control system can't just be a set it and forget it kind of thing. It has to be alive. I love this quote because it really hits the nail on the head. When controls are treated like living systems, not static rules, they stay effective. Just think about it. The hotel industry is constantly changing. New tech, new guest expectations. A rulebook from just a few years ago would be totally obsolete today. Your framework has to breathe and evolve with you.
So how do you keep it alive? Well, you use your tools. You regularly conduct internal audits to spot weaknesses. You hold management reviews to challenge your own assumptions. And maybe most importantly, you create feedback channels so your frontline staff can tell you what's really going on. It's all about building adaptation right into your culture. So we've covered the why, the what, and the how. Let's bring this all home and talk about the ultimate payoff. What's the big picture, sustainable advantage you get from all this? First, you get structure without rigidity. Your team has clear guidance, so they feel supported and confident, but they also have the freedom they need to think on their feet and create those amazing, personalized guest experiences. Second, you get discipline without bureaucracy. This means you foster a real culture of excellence and accountability, but you do it without slowing everyone down with pointless paperwork and red tape. And third, you get assurance without complacency. Your owners and your guests have total confidence that the operation is running smoothly and ethically. But because your system is always evolving, your team never gets lazy. You're always looking for the next way to get even better. And that's really the ultimate goal here. You're creating an environment where being ethical, being financially responsible, and delivering incredible service aren't competing priorities. Instead, they all reinforce each other, creating this powerful upward spiral of excellence. So, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a question to carry with you. This isn't just abstract theory. This is your toolkit for the future. So think about it. As a future leader in this industry, how will you take these principles and build your own framework for excellence?